what are the key lessons perhaps you have from, if you're going to offer up to someone who's going to be doing similar negotiations or implementation in future international collaborations for the next key missions? What are the things that really stand out in your mind of, let's remember this or learn from that?
There's a couple things that I would think. One, from a technical standpoint, and Lynn alluded to it a bit. Generally we would always look at, say, the industry contractors that bid on our projects, and we would assess their strengths and weaknesses and factor that into the risks that we see in developing a project budget and schedule. You need to do the same thing with your partners. You need to be, I think, very aware of what their capabilities are. Are they trying to do something new? Are they trying to do something that they have done well in the past? And while there's plenty of reasons to still have that partnership, you need to try to factor that into your own planning for the project. And then the other piece I would just say is that the relationship is critical. You really need to be willing to spend the time, and frequently for these programs that means the miles and the travel, and Gerst is still stuck somewhere in Europe,
Amsterdam,
right? Yeah.
at the moment.
But that really makes the relationship work.
Yeah. Relationships are very important. One of the things that we did during the negotiations was we ensured we had some time for social activity outside of the negotiations and got to know one another, learn about your families, your hobbies, where you go on vacation, just get to know one another as people. And that helped build bridges so that when you got to a really tough discussion, people didn't take it personally, and you could be professional. And if you needed to talk quietly outside of the negotiating room, those relationships helped you get through some of those tough times. And I would say a couple other things I would recommend, coming back to this point about flexibility. Whatever agreement you're going to put in place, make it an enabling agreement. Put in some management bodies that allow you to adapt as you need to in the future. And then I think the other thing is, if there's a way to look at expanding the partnership without having to renegotiate the entire agreement, that would be a good thing. Because with Station, you really didn't have a choice. I mean, it's a single integrated facility. You share all the resources. Everybody affects everyone else. But what that meant was when we decided to invite Russia to join the program, we had to completely renegotiate all the agreements. You couldn't just add a partner because you had to redivide all the resources. If you have a distributed program of some kind, then it's easier to bring other partners in. So if you're going to have a long-term human exploration activity, you might want to look at, is there a way to allow accession of new partners without having to go back to square one?
And I think folks may forget that we operated in the original partnership for 9 or 10 years before we invited the Russians to join. So those processes and those relationships and the kind of the needs and goals of all the partners were pretty well set at that time, and that was actually a pretty big change to accommodate. And
yeah. Although I will say that while they were set on the original agreements, when it came time to do the new negotiations to bring Russia in, the original view of all of the partners was minimal changes. We had this philosophy of minimalism. We're going to kind of add Russia to the list of countries. We're going to add what they're providing, and everything else will stay the same. That was the going-in position, which, of course, wasn't going to work. Russia had stronger ideas about how this should be. But once we reopened the agreements, then Europe came in with a completely new approach, a whole bunch of non-negotiable demands that if we're going to stay in this partnership, we need to have all of these changes. And so that then gave me a second front of things I had to go work in the negotiations. And the Japanese were, don't change anything. We reached consensus on all of this. We don't want anything new. And Canada was somewhere in the middle. They were pretty flexible. So we had to work through all of those things.
Yeah,